Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and the weekend walkthrough for Game Week 5, which was a very frustrating game week for plenty of FPL managers. Personally, it was pretty decent since I had both Salah and Alvarez, but we'll get to that eventually. I'm not here to gloat or rub it in, maybe, but we'll see. But either way, it was not the best game week for most people and quite a few, I don't know, kind of lackluster matches as well, but let's just go through all 9 matches that happened this weekend. We have the Monday match left as well, which is Nottingham Forest against Burnley. I'm not going to talk about that game because, it's not part of the weekend, so it's not part of the weekend walkthrough. But let's start with Wolverhampton-Liverpool, which was the first game of the weekend, which was the early game on Saturday. And it started off really interestingly with the Wolves being the better side. So Wolves kind of impressed, even though they lost in the first match against Man United. They really impressed and looked like a really good team. Now, maybe Man United are just a bad team. Maybe that's the reason why. But again, against Liverpool this time, Wolves actually looked pretty good. So, especially Neto, who had a perfect assist for the opening goal after only 7 minutes, I think, when Hwang Hee-chan scored. So, really nice run from Neto, who also had almost had a beautiful assist as well after giving Wolves the lead. But he basically dribbled past on the left, passed it into the opposite side of the box to Hwang Hee-chan, and Chan scored after a pretty poor clearance attempt from Andrew Robertson. I almost said Robbo there, Andrew Robertson. And also I think Alisson should get some blame as well, because his save attempt was also pretty bad, but Alisson is regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world, and quite certainly so, I guess. I think Ter Stegen is better personally, but yeah, pretty close. He's one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the world right now, Alisson. But I think he could have done better for the opening goal for Wolves. But yeah, like I said, Neto had another really nice cross for Matheus Cunha. Pretty close after that as well. Like I think it was a couple 5 or 10 minutes after the opening goal. But Cunha had a terrible heading attempt and it didn't turn into a goal. So I think that's pretty much the XG that Wolverhampton had, because they had only 0.63 XG, but they had pretty good play in the first half. They just couldn't really get to big chances and convert big chances. And at the half, Liverpool took some steps to change everything. Klopp basically took charge. He got Luis Diaz to come on. He also put Andrew Robertson higher up the pitch, because this game was kind of a lackluster Liverpool team from the start, because Trent Alexander-Arnold was injured. Luis Diaz had just come back from South America, and McAllister had come back from South America as well. And McAllister had a really poor first half. He was subbed off for Luis Diaz, who was also kind of fatigued from international break. But Diaz looked really good in the second half, and that also allowed Robertson to push up forward on the left, which is what Liverpool should do. When they don't have Trent Alexander-Arnold to be the offensive attacking guy on the right, they should really just unleash Robertson and have the good old Robertson again at left back, and that's what they did, and that resulted in the 2-1 goal eventually as well. But first, Liverpool got the equalizer through Gakpo. Really nice pass/shot from Salah. I'm not quite sure if he tried to shoot it or if he tried to pass it, but it ended up being a perfect pass to Cody Gakpo, who was kind of immediately subbed off, because I think he was about to be subbed off, Gakpo, but he scored just in time to get the equalizer and get his goal, his first goal for the season, I think. Gakpo. But yeah, Darwin came on as well. He looked decent once again. And the aforementioned Robertson was the one who scored the opening, or not the opening goal, the leading goal for Liverpool, the 2-1 goal. Then in the end, Harvey Elliott scored another goal from a Salah pass. Yet again, Salah had 2 assists and almost had his 3rd assist, but turns out the shot was going wide, hit the defender and went into the back of the net, so it ended up being an own goal from Hugo Bueno, I think. So Salah kind of robbed from his 3rd assist, but he had 2 assists, 2 bonus points, 10 points in total, so really well played from Salah. Hasn't been the highest goal threat, Salah, these past few games, but as you can see, the non-penalty XGI of 1.71 is absolutely amazing from Salah. So he had one decent shooting chance in the first half as well, where he could have scored, but it was blocked after a bit of a scramble in the box for Wolves. But yeah, Salah continues to look really good. Diaz continues to look really good as well when he gets to play, and he's going to play going forward, because they really lacked his pace and creativity in the first half. So I think Diaz is going to be a pretty secure Liverpool player going forward as well. But Salah is still the main man. Darwin came on, but Gakpo scored as well, so the playing time is not going to be secure for Darwin, especially immediately. So yeah, I think Salah or Diaz is the way to go if you want Liverpool attacking players. And while Trent Alexander-Arnold is out, I think Robertson is a really good pick. So if you have a free hit, or if you have one transfer before you're wildcarding in the game week after. If you do one transfer for game week 6 and then you wildcard in game week 7, then I think Robertson could be that one differential sort of guy to play, I guess. But yeah, Liverpool looked good after the break and got a deserved win in the end. Speaking of deserved wins in the end, we also have Aston Villa against Crystal Palace. Aston Villa actually took the lead from a Diaby goal. Turns out it was slightly offside, but it was a really well taken goal. Really fantastic pass from Pau Torres, and I have to just comment on Pau Torres' passing. Like, he had so many passes into the final third. He's going to get a couple of assists throughout the season, and he's going to get some bonus points as well because his passing is really amazing. He has some faults when it comes to heading ability and stuff like that, Pau Torres, but there's a reason why he was such a highly sought after centre back, and he showed that for Aston Villa, especially with that opening, what we thought was the opening goal for Aston Villa, but instead, Crystal Palace took the lead from Odsonne Edouard, who once again scored. He's looked really good. He's been among the best players for XG so far this season. He's only 5.5 in fantasy, so he seems like a really good striker option if you want like sort of a budget forward. But yeah, we don't really know for sure if he's for real. He was really good with in Scotland before he joined Crystal Palace, but he hasn't really been the best in the Premier League since since he came to the league. But this season, it seems like he might have unlocked something. So yeah, good goal from Edouard. Just a simple cross into the box, and Edouard scored. And it looked like Crystal Palace were going to keep the lead until the end. But then in the 87th minute, John Duran, the backup striker to Ollie Watkins, had a fantastic goal. He got a pass around the box, just outside the box. He takes the ball down and just smashes it top ins. Really good goal. And then Aston Villa got a penalty. The ref actually gave the pen, and then VAR told the ref to check the screen as well. And for once, which was amazing for me, or not amazing for me in terms of FPL, but just like I don't really see, I can't remember off the top of my head any time that I've seen the ref get called to the screen and him standing by his decision. They usually always go with the VAR decision. So I've been telling Kevin, my podcast partner, that they always do that and it's pointless. When they go to the screen, they always go with the VAR decision. But it's actually kind of nice to see that the ref actually just stood his ground and said like, nope, I don't think it's a penalty. Or I think it's a penalty, actually. He said that he thought it was a penalty, as he called it originally. And I think it was correct as well. It depends. I haven't really seen the best camera angle stuff for seeing if Watkins was actually taken down, but it seemed to me like the defender maybe barely grazed the ball, but then he took down Watkins before he cleared the ball away. So if Watkins was actually touched enough for him to go down, I think it's a penalty. But yeah, it was hard to tell, and I think they should just stick with the original decision. That's always my thing with VAR. Just keep it going. Don't really have too many VAR decisions. But yeah, enough about VAR. But yeah, Douglas Luiz converts the penalty, gets an assist for Watkins, I guess. And then finally, Diaby gets his goal return as well. Counter-attack from Aston Villa, and Diaby passes it through to his former teammate at Bayer Leverkusen and his current teammate now at Aston Villa, Leon Bailey, who had just come on like 15 minutes before. And he sells the score 3-1 for Aston Villa. So nice result for Aston Villa, who continued to look good. Diaby continues to look good. Matty Cash had 2 shots in the box once again, 0.72 XG. He's still a really good option, especially offensively, but we'll see because Alex Moreno was back in the squad now. He didn't come on, Moreno, but he's going to play eventually. But Digne also looked really good, and he had the assist for Duran as well, so Digne is looking really good as well. And Bailey, 0.81, that was mostly from his goal, but yeah, Bailey has looked really lively whenever he's gotten the chance, so good game for Aston Villa, not the best for Crystal Palace. Eze, once again, he was their main man. He created some chances and looked pretty good, Eze, but no point return this time either. So yeah, that's pretty much that game. And then we have Fulham against Luton, which was kind of the least interesting game, I guess, this weekend between two teams that might go down, honestly. And I think actually Luton were kind of hard done by. Like, they created the best chances in this game, but Fulham ended up getting the win again. They have a really good goalkeeper in Bernd Leno, who might keep them up once again. Probably the best goalkeeper outside the top 6 in the league. Bernd Leno, so yeah, I think he's amazing. But Luton really should have scored, and Issa Kabore, for anyone that has him still on the end of their bench, he showed some promising signs. He had 3 really good crosses, and especially one for Brown, who got the chance up front this game. Really should have been converted into a goal, but he hit the post instead. But yeah, Kabore looked really good, really threatening, really offensive-minded, so he might be one of those Game Week 7 gems in the double game week for Luton who might get some points for you. But yeah, especially for me, I have him on my bench. I'm pretty certain I'm going to start him in Game Week 7, but we don't really know about Luton because they keep just rotating their defense every single time. This time around, it was both Alfie Doughty and Ryan Giles who were benched all of a sudden. They had Amari Bell on the left and Kabore on the right in terms of the wingbacks. So yeah, it's really difficult to see who's going to play every game week for Luton. It seems like Lockyer, their captain, is like the only sort of settled guy in their defense. They have Burke, they have Anderson, they have Bell, they have Doughty, Kabore, Giles. They have so many players that they keep rotating. And I think the manager, Rob Edwards, also said something about that they will change their lineup every single time. So that's my worry. If you want to go with like a cheap enabler Luton defender for the double game week, maybe they won't play both matches. Especially for defenders, it's really important to play 60 plus minutes because otherwise you can't get a clean sheet. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, the winners of this match were Fulham, and that was due to Carlos Vinicius scoring. And I think Vinicius is just straight up better than Raul Jimenez. Raul Jimenez, fantastic player in his day. Sadly, the whole head injury thing has sort of hampered his career quite a bit, and he's not quite the same anymore. I think Vinicius has looked really good every time he's gotten the chance, whether it was because of Mitrovic last season or Raul Jimenez now this season not performing. So he got the winning goal for Fulham, who once again get 3 points kind of undeservedly. So yeah, Fulham just keep pulling away and getting some points wherever they can get them, really, and that might be enough to keep them up. So well done for Fulham. Some good points for them there in what is supposed to be the easiest match of the whole season. But Fulham once again didn't look too good, and yeah, even though they won the match, they didn't win the XG battle. So yeah, but that doesn't really matter for Fulham. They got the 3 points anyway. Next up, we have West Ham against Manchester City, the match between the champions of Europe. Obviously, West Ham won the Conference League, the fantastic Conference League. West Ham won that trophy last season, the final European champions, because they won their final after Man City won their final. So yeah. But yeah, West Ham against Man City, kind of the mini Super Cup, I guess. Manchester City played the Super Cup between Game Week 1 and Game Week 2, but now they got to play West Ham. And for a while, it actually looked like West Ham could scrape a win or even a draw in this game, which would have been crazy because Haaland, as you can see from the non-penalty expected goal involvement, he had 2.59, and most of that is expected goals as well. So Haaland easily could have had a hat-trick at least, and potentially even more goals as well. He had so many huge chances. He missed sitters on the back posts, one with his left, one with his right. One just went outside, and one went to the line, and Aguerd managed to save it. So yeah, Man City had plenty of huge chances, but West Ham actually took their chance when they got it in the first half. And once again, it was James Ward-Prowse who scored, and he's had now, 2 goals or 3 goals and 3 assists? I think it's 2 goals and 3 assists he has so far, James Ward-Prowse, which is just absolutely amazing. His corners are still a huge threat. Had a great corner in the first half where Souček kind of headed it away from goal. It was almost going into the net straight away. I think it was Ward-Prowse at least. But yeah. But either way, several good corners from Ward-Prowse, and he keeps looking really good. And he keeps being in offensive positions as well. It seems like he's sort of playing wide left sometimes, and he drifts wide. And yeah, he just looks really good in general, Ward-Prowse, and got a really nice goal. Vladimir Soufal on the counter for West Ham, really good cross, and Ward-Prowse actually headers it home. He did the cross hammers thing, which is really good for the fans. He was almost doing the goal celebration that he usually does, but he sort of stopped himself short because he was too hyped about the goal. And yeah, West Ham took the lead, which was really surprising. And yeah, for me as a West Ham fan, really, really fun to watch. But yeah, speaking of being a West Ham fan, that actually saved me from being really annoyed with Haaland, because I think if Haaland wasn't playing the team that I supported, I think I would have been so upset about having Haaland captain and seeing him miss so many big chances. But yeah, as a West Ham fan, I was celebrating every single time. But as an FPL manager, I was just like, oh my God, so many people have captain Son or Madison or Fernandes or whatever this week. A lot of people tried to punt on a differential captain, and this was one of the weeks where Haaland really could have punished you. But Haaland in the end only got 1 goal. But before his goal, City got the equalizer right after the second half had started. Jeremy Doku, who got the chance this game, looked really good, scored a really nice goal. kind of poor defensively from West Ham. They kind of let him just drift inside and shoot the ball into the goal, into the far post. But yeah, really good from Doku, who looked really lively in this game, and he got praise as well after the game from Pep Guardiola. Nice assist from Julian Alvarez, who is also in my team and has been really good for me. Not the best assist. It was mostly Doku. It was a good assist. It wasn't a bad involvement from Alvarez by any means, but it was kind of Doku who made the goal there. But yeah, they also got the 2-1 goal pretty late, after 77 minutes. I think Bernardo Silva got the goal. Once again, brilliant pass from Julian Alvarez over the top for Bernardo Silva. Kind of poor judgment from Naif Aguerd from West Ham. He keeps making these kind of big mistakes. So I've seen Aguerd being mentioned as one of the best defenders outside the top 6 or top 7 if you count Newcastle. And he's just making too many mistakes for me to be considered among that level, because he had a really good game, but once again he kind of messed up, and that cost West Ham once again. And Bernardo managed to poke it past Areola, who was a bit late to come out from his line. And Haaland actually could have stolen the goal as well, but Haaland actually let it go. Whether it was because he was afraid that he was offside, or if he just wanted to give Bernardo Silva a goal, don't really know. But once again, Haaland kind of dodged the goal points. But Haaland would get his goal eventually. This time set up by Bernardo Silva. Once again, Alvarez was in the build-up of the goal. Alvarez had a really good game, and once again got heavy praise from Pep Guardiola, who called him almost undroppable. So Alvarez is definitely someone you should consider in FPL. He's so good. He's filling all the gaps. He also had a really good free kick. Hit the post from a free kick. Fantastic attempt from Alvarez, but it was just a little bit wide to get it into the goal. So Alvarez continues to look good. Haaland looked amazing again in terms of getting chances, but just kept missing chances, which was really weird to see. I think he had, 6 big chances in total? 5 of them he missed. So yeah, several good chances. And partly we have to credit Areola as well, who looks like perhaps the best goalkeeper in the game, especially for his price. He had a lot of good saves again, Areola. I think he had 10 saves in the end, so he ended up with 4 points, even though they conceded 3 goals. So yeah. Hats off to Areola as well. But Man City, the deserved winners in the end, almost for West Ham getting a point. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be, I guess. But decent performance from West Ham, who actually had a couple of decent chances from the corners that I mentioned from Ward-Prowse. But also Antonio was put through by Paqueta as well, or Paqueta. And he just had a bit of a heavy touch, which took the ball to Ederson, who was really quick off his line. Gotta give some props to Ederson as well. He had a really good save from the corner where Zuma headered it as well. And Ederson had some really important saves this game, and yeah, he's sort of getting a bit criticized this past year, Ederson, but he steps up in big moments sometimes, and he still has all the means to be perhaps the best goalkeeper in the world if he just puts everything together. But yeah, good game from Ederson as well, and a decent game all around from Man City. Several players almost got the assist for Haaland as well. I think Guardiola had a pass where Haaland missed a pretty open goal, and several other Man City players. Rodri had a fantastic pass over the top for Haaland, also had another good chance. So Haaland really screwed over a lot of fancy managers this week, but he still scored in the end. So yeah, 6-pointer from Haaland, 12 points if you had him as captain, like I did. Then next up we have Spurs against Sheffield United, and this was actually a really tight game. Like I said, a lot of people actually captained Heung-min Son, went with him as a differential captain, seeing as they played Sheffield United. I said before the game that I thought it was going to be more of I don't know, I think Son is better against teams with a high line. So Son is not even listed among the top 3 for non-penalty expected goals. He had 1 decent shot attempt, he had 1 heading attempt, but it only ended up being 0.17 XG, so not the best in terms of numbers for Son either. So anyone that captained Son and went away from the Haaland captaincy should be, even though they probably had a poor game week, they should consider themselves kind of lucky that it wasn't awful. Son, but even then, Son could have actually had some more points, and Maddison could have had more points as well. Another really popular fantasy asset, because Spurs really should have had a penalty from Maddison. He was clipped in the box from behind. The defender clearly got his ankle or his whatever, Achilles, I guess. It really should have been a penalty, but VAR didn't even check. So yeah, they kind of got away with one there, Sheffield United. Then Sheffield United got a goal from out of nowhere from a throw-in. Once again, Gustavo Hammer time, as they say. Really well taken shot from Hammer, and Sheffield United took the lead, and it looked like they were actually going to bring home the win as well. Brendan Johnson had a goal disallowed for offside, but then Richarlison came on. Son came off pretty early, which is also kind of worrying for anyone that bought Son. And Richarlison, the main striker, the first couple game weeks for Spurs, who's been really struggling with like everything mentally and scoring goals and everything. He talked about that, Richarlison. He got some huge moments. He scores the equalizer after like 7 minutes of injury time. The first corner that Maddison doesn't take, I think Spurs had like 15 corners and 14 of them were for Maddison. And the one that Perisic took, which was an amazing corner, really a delivery by Perisic, is the one that actually ends up with a goal. Richarlison heads it home. And then Richarlison got his assist as well for the winning goal where Kulusevski scored. Really nice goal from Spurs, who just kept packing the box against Sheffield United. They won the ball really high up the pitch. Destiny Udogie, really good interception of the ball. The passes went quickly between all the players. I think it was Højbjerg who passed it through to Richarlison, who passed it back to Kulusevski. Really well taken goal from Kulusevski as well. A couple nice touches and shoots it from where he came from as well. So into the near post. Really good goal, absolute limbs, as they say, among the crowd. So really good moment for Spurs fans who are over the moon already. Like I know people are like kind of chastising them for celebrating a win against Sheffield United, but when you score 2 goals in injury time, just have at it, just celebrate, just be happy. I don't really understand people that shame people for celebrating football wins. Like that's what it's all about, having those moments, especially with VAR. You gotta cherish those moments when you get those goals where you know that it's not going to be taken away. So yeah. Speaking of goals that got taken away, we have Manchester United. But before we get to the goal that never was for Rasmus Højlund, we have to talk about the start of the game, because Man United actually looked really good. Especially Rashford was really involved in everything that happened going forward. Had several chances. I think had like 5 shots in the box or something throughout the whole game. Even hit the post from a deflected shot as well, Rashford. He looked really dangerous. As someone who doesn't have either Rashford or Fernandes, I was really worried that Rashford was going to score because he had several big chances. But yeah, he looked really dangerous, but he was also really selfish. He could have passed Højlund. I think it was in the second half. He could have passed him through on open goal, but shot it instead and hit the side netting. But yeah, Man United actually looked pretty good after 20 minutes, for the first 20 minutes. They kind of surprised Brighton. I think De Zerbi said that post-match as well. They kind of surprised Brighton with their formation. A lot of people thought that it would be either Pellistri playing on the right or Fernandes playing on the right for Man United, with both Anthony and Sancho out for different reasons. But ended up being just a diamond from Man United. They sort of played in a diamond formation in the middle with Fernandes, Eriksen, McTominay, and Casemiro. None of them as like pure like wingers in a sense. But yeah, that sort of surprised Brighton, like De Zerbi said, but it took 20 minutes and Brighton figured them out. And with the goal from Welbeck, who loves to score against Man United, it was sort of a done deal from there, because Brighton were just the better team from that point on. But yeah, also got to mention, I said all week that I was going to play Perisic Estupiñán in this game, because I thought he would have decent chances of assists and decent chance of a clean sheet. And that sort of proved to be true, but Perisic Estupiñán wasn't even in the squad because he had played 180 minutes in the international break down in South America, long travel and everything, so he was just too tired to play in this game. So he wasn't even in the squad, but in his place, Tariq Lamptey got the chance, and he really took it with 2 really nice assists as well from Lamptey. 1 assist for Gross, who, like Welbeck, loves scoring against Man United. Both Welbeck and Gross, who scored the 2 opening goals for Brighton, really love scoring against Man United, and they did it once again. And then João Pedro as well, for anyone that kept him so far. He got his goal as well. Ansu Fati, who made his debut for Brighton, also was really close to getting a goal after a really nice setup from Billy Gilmore, who keeps impressing offensively. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be for Fati, because Onana made one of his great saves. Really showed why he's worth the money potentially. But yeah, Onana hasn't had the best start, because Man United, I think, have conceded. I think he's conceded like 8 goals from 11 shots or something like that. I don't know. I think I read a crazy stat like that. But yeah, either way, Man United sort of didn't really have a chance after a decent opening first 20 minutes. They also had the goal disallowed. That was in the first half. Rashford got the ball out wide, crossed it. As the ball was crossing the line, he passed it out to Højlund, who really took it in stride and scored. But after a VAR check, they checked and the ball was, I'm not even sure it was out, because you don't really have goal line technology when it's not inside the goal. So we couldn't really check with like proper technology either. And based on the eye test, I'm not sure if it was in or out. It was like one of those where it's really close. Like you can even see the green between the ball and the line, but that doesn't even mean that the ball has crossed the line either, because you have to look it from the top down and stuff. It really reminded me of the goal that Japan scored against Germany in the World Cup, where I think it was Mitoma, actually, the Brighton player, coincidentally, who saved the ball just as it was crossing the line. And after like a long VAR check, they actually gave the goal. But this time they didn't give the goal, but I think it was pretty similar. And I think beIN Sports actually had like a sort of like a graphic or like a way to check if the ball was in or not for that Japan goal. And it was like barely in, even though you could see the green between the ball and the line. You could see that the ball, like the curvature of the ball was like sort of on top of the line already still. So I think that was sort of the same case here. It was really a 50-50 decision, and sadly for Man United, it went against them. And I think this was like on 1-0 or something, so it would have been 1-1, or potentially even 1-0 to Man United. I think it was 1-1, it would have been. But yeah, so unlucky there for Man United, but in the end, deserved winners. Brighton, they were the last team to beat Man United at Old Trafford, like over a year ago, and Man United had a really good home record until they now faced Brighton, who just continue to look amazing. They had a lot of players rested, Brighton. No Ferguson from start, no Solly March, no Estepinian, like I said. But they just keep plugging in new players and they just keep performing. De Zerbi is working miracles with Brighton. And I think De Zerbi, I had Brighton, I think, at 9th place in my preseason prediction. I think that's like the biggest mistake I've done in my predictions so far this Premier League season, because Brighton are just amazing still. Regardless of who they put out there, they have Enciso injured. They have so many people out after the international break now, and they still look amazing away from home at one of the toughest stadiums to get 3 points. They kind of get 3 points with ease once again, like they did against Newcastle. But yeah, speaking of Newcastle, that's the next game we're going to talk about. Newcastle at home, always a tough fixture, especially for Brentford this time around, as the final game on Saturday. Pretty even game in terms of like not the most chances either way. Not really the biggest chances for Newcastle as well at the start of the game at least. But Newcastle defensively, they had Botman back in defense, and that makes a huge difference for Newcastle, who look kind of not the best against Brighton, where in the game where Botman had to miss out. But he was back again this time, and they sort of held their own against Brentford. Jan Vissa, to the annoyance of my podcast co-host Kevin, who has Vissa in his team, he was the closest one to scoring for Brentford. He had a really good heading chance where he sort of couldn't get the proper connection with the ball. That was in the second half, I think. Also had another, speaking of not the best connection with the ball, in the first half he had a cross where he could have shot it, but he couldn't really connect with the ball, and yeah, the ball just went past him. And that doesn't count for XG as well. So even though it's 0.54 XG, Brentford had like a pretty decent chance that wasn't counted in the XG table. So, but either way, even if you count that chance, which I think would be like, I don't know, 0.3 XG, Newcastle would still keep Brentford below 1 XG in this game. And yeah, Newcastle defense, I've sort of been like kind of like about them, because they've conceded so many goals. They've had only 2 clean sheets in their final, or in the past like 20 games or something, I think, until this game at least. But a lot of that is just simple mistakes, weird one-off goals. They don't really concede that many goals in total, but defensively, they actually look really good. And yeah, I think it's definitely the time to think about bringing in a defender or two from Newcastle. I might even bring 2 defenders myself, but most likely I'm just going to stick with the one, and that would probably be Botman. He got all 3 bonus points because Callum Wilson actually scored the winning goal, but he also got a stupid yellow card in the end, which took him from bonus 3 to bonus 0, and gave bonus points to Botman, Trippier, and Fabian Schär, the 3 most popular defenders. But yeah. The one thing about Brentford, though, that I haven't touched on, which I've written in the notes there, Flecken's absolute nightmare. Mark Flecken had a terrible game. I'm going to get to Arsenal soon, and they have Brentford's previous goalkeeper, who is looking much better than Flecken at this point, because Flecken, really awful game. First, he had like a really weird like boxing out situation where the ball gets put into the box again. Wilson pokes it in after the ball like sort of spun around in the box from player to player. But the referee blows the whistle, free kick for Brentford, because Flecken was sort of hindered, I guess, by Wilson. I think it was really soft. I think it should have stood. I think it should have been a goal for Wilson. But then, like 10 minutes later, I think, just about, a really weird situation on the left-hand side of the box for Brentford. Aaron Hickey is about to control the ball. He sort of miscontrols it. Either he passes it back to Flecken, who's like pretty far off his line, or he just mistouches it or something. And I think Anthony Gordon runs for the ball, and Flecken sort of just like goes into his path. And yeah, Gordon does fall down kind of stupidly, easily, trying to bait him to get a penalty. But in the end, it was a really poor decision from Flecken, who sort of, I don't even know what he tried to do. But yeah, he made the penalty happen, and Callum Wilson scored the penalty. Flecken was actually after it, but Wilson's shot was just too good for Flecken to save it. And then afterwards, Flecken complained to the ref and got a yellow card as well, which hurt him even more in terms of the points. So Flecken ended up with only 1 point and had pretty much a stinker. I think he had another mistake later on in the game as well. So not the best match from Flecken. And Brentford as well kind of didn't look as good as they have been so far this season, but maybe that's down to the opposition as well, because Newcastle are the best team that they faced apart from Spurs in the opening game, where people didn't really know what to expect from Spurs. So yeah, we'll see if Brentford can keep it up if they have more difficult fixtures. But yeah, I wouldn't be too stressed if I had Mbeumo, potentially even Wissa, and potentially Flecken. I have Flecken, so so yeah, but he's on the bench hopefully if Turner plays this Monday. But yeah, impressive from Newcastle defensively. Wilson also should be noted. He played 90 minutes. Isak stayed on the bench the whole game. Maybe that's because they need Isak for the Champions League match. I'm expecting Isak to play mostly in the Champions League. But maybe Wilson is the Premier League option to have now, because yeah, he easily could have had 3 goals in this game. So yeah, if they keep doing that, if they keep playing Wilson in the league and Isak in the Champions League, then Wilson is a fantastic pick, because Newcastle have amazing fixtures going forward. And like I said, should definitely consider a defender or two, and then potentially Wilson offensively as well. Harvey Barnes also had a pretty good game, and Gordon played on the right-hand side, which also seemed to be working as well. So some really nice Newcastle options opening up now for the next few game weeks, where they have really good fixtures. Then we have Bournemouth against Chelsea, which was really astounding that this game ended 0-0. I think Dango Ouattara, had a really huge chance at the start of the game. Chelsea had a couple decent chances as well. Gallagher with a shooting chance from the middle of the box after a really nice pass from Mudryk, who got the chance to play. But yeah, speaking of Mudryk, he got the chance to play because Chilwell was benched. Chilwell didn't get to play this game from start. He did come on 10 minutes before the end of the match to block some defenders in Fantasy Premier League. And Chilwell ended up getting a yellow card as well, which means that he got 0 points from this game. And speaking of yellow cards, Nick Jackson also, once again, sort of failed to impress. Had a couple decent chances, but he hit the post. He had another heading chance as well. But in general, Jackson has been looking like less and less of a good Fantasy Premier League option. And he got another yellow card as well, which means he has 4 yellow cards so far this season, and is only 1 yellow card away from suspension already, which is kind of crazy. So I think he got a yellow card from just like standing in the wall and complaining about something, or some weird, stupid yellow card once again. So I understand why people would want to sell Nick Jackson, and they do have a kind of difficult game now coming up against Aston Villa. So maybe this is the time to sell your Chelsea assets in general. Chilwell as well. I have him in my team, and I'm currently considering selling him as well, potentially for one of those Newcastle defenders, potentially even Trippier, who looked pretty good offensively and is creating some chances. But yeah, Chilwell, might be time to sell him, but at the same time, maybe it's just some weird international break sort of thing. But post-game, Pochettino said that it was kind of tactical. He wanted a more offensive player, because obviously he's been getting a lot of criticism for playing Chilwell as like a left winger sort of player. In the end, Chilwell came on for Colwill and played as like a proper left back towards the end of the game. But if that's what he's going to be relegated to, Chilwell playing just as a left back in a system where they play with sort of like winger sort of players as well, then Chilwell won't be the same value. And especially with Chelsea having a couple, like they have Aston Villa, like I said, now coming up, which is not the easiest game. Then they have 2 decent matches away from home, I think, against Fulham and Burnley, if I'm not mistaken. But after that, they have really difficult fixtures. So yeah, I think in general, Chelsea targets or Chelsea assets might be time to sell. Maybe apart from Sterling, because Sterling once again looked good. Had a couple of decent chances to score if he only would have gotten the pass. There was one chance where Mudryk could have passed him. He was really upset he didn't get that, and he got a yellow card pretty straight after that, Sterling. He had another where Palmer passed it just too far for him to score, and there was another like sort of cutback option where Sterling didn't get the ball either. Sterling also had a really nice free kick, hit like the crossbar, like between the crossbar and the post. The ball bounced on the line. It was on its way to go in, but then once it bounced on the line, it actually curled enough to curl away from the goal. Colwill scored on the follow-up, but Colwill was offside, so no goals in this game, which was kind of crazy. Solanke had another good chance as well for Bournemouth. Bournemouth just couldn't really hit the target properly either. So it ended up being 0-0. Clean sheets for everyone apart from Chilwell, obviously, because yeah, he was benched the one time Chelsea had a clean sheet. I'm pretty used to that. That happened a couple times last season as well. I'm pretty over having Chilwell in my team, to be honest. But yeah, anyone that had Gusto and stuff, I got clean sheet points from that. Should also give some praise to Sanchez, who didn't look the best for Brighton last season, but he actually had a really good game against Bournemouth and was part of the reason why Chelsea managed to keep the clean sheet. So yeah, big ups to both goalkeepers in this game, because this really should have been goals on each end this match, but it ended up being 0-0. Then we had another pretty tame match in terms of, or not tame, like this was maybe the opposite. Like this match actually had a goal, but it probably shouldn't have. Maybe, I don't know, Arsenal probably deserved a goal, to be honest, but Everton especially looked really like not good offensively at all. Like Arsenal basically had control of this match from the get-go. I have to talk about the offside decision. I don't really understand the rules there, because I can't remember which defender it was, whether it was Saliba or Gabriel, who has the ball, kind of turns, and then Beto comes in and sort of tackles the ball. I think he tackles the ball sort of, or just yeets it away, just gets it away from the Arsenal defender. But the ball ends up with Nketiah, who was like barely offside, like he was running back from being offside, and his leg was sort of like sticking out, which meant that he was technically offside. He passes it back to Fabio Vieira, who I'm going to get to. He was really good once again. Vieira passes it to Martinelli, who scores easily, but then VAR says that it's offside. I don't really understand the rules, but I guess it's offside. I mean, Nketiah was offside when the Arsenal defender touched the ball backwards in his own half. It's just, we're so far removed from what the offside rule was designed to sort of correct on the pitch. So yeah, I don't really understand it. And to make matters worse for any Martinelli owners, he was injured straight after. So instead of getting a goal and potentially bonus points, he got the goal disallowed, and then he was injured and had to be subbed off for Trossard, who actually ended up scoring the winning goal. But yeah, I also got to mention Fabio Vieira. I said that he had the through ball for Martinelli. Fabio Vieira got the chance to start rather than Havertz, and David Raya got the chance to start rather than not David Ramsdale, Aaron Ramsdale in goal. And I think these two changes are obvious changes for Arsenal. I think both these players, Raya and Vieira, I'm a big fan of both of them, especially Fabio Vieira, who's doing exactly what I expected from him after like seeing what he could do in the Portuguese league. He's that type of player who can assist from anywhere. He keeps getting assists this time around, and he has really earned his place in the starting lineup. I think he's perfect for that role that is sort of like made or designed for Havertz, I guess. But I think Fabio Vieira is just amazing at this role. He had another couple nice passes to Ødegaard as well in the second half, where Ødegaard really could have scored. But this was after the goal from Arsenal, a really well taken goal. Ødegaard was involved in this goal as well, passed it to Saka, who passed it back to Trossard, who once again had a beautiful shot into the far side of the goal. Scored, I think, in his third game in a row. I think he scored in both games for Belgium during the international break. Two really good long shots, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Trossard looks good, and now if Martinelli is out, Trossard potentially becomes an option as well. So both Trossard and Fabio Vieira, I think, are decent like cut price options if you want to go with like a differential Arsenal player for the final few game weeks before you wildcard potentially. I'm looking to wildcard in game week 9 or game week 10 personally, and those Arsenal assets that might be like under the radar and kind of cheap, I'm kind of considering, but there are so many midfielders that are good this year, so maybe not. But yeah, Arsenal deserved winners in the end. Everton didn't really have any chances to speak of, really. Calvert-Lewin had a decent chance towards the end of the match. So yeah, this was a typical Sean Dyche type of loss. They kind of look solid-ish defensively, at least until they conceded. but they still end up losing 1-0. Not the worst since they're playing Arsenal, which is one of the best teams in the Premier League. But yeah, ended up being a loss for Everton. Nice win for Arsenal. Handy win away from home. Really hard to come by at Goodison Park. Arsenal fans should know the last time they beat Everton, I think Jack Wilshere came on as a substitution. So long time since Arsenal won at Goodison Park, and they did the job, got the 3 points, and they had David Raya and Vieira in the team now, and I think going forward they should be in the team, and they will strengthen the team and make Arsenal a really fierce team to defend against. Ødegaard had another huge chance, or decent shooting chance, from a Declan Rice pass. Declan Rice once again looked good. As always, Declan Rice is an amazing player. Ødegaard is an amazing player as well. Ødegaard is potentially, he hasn't really, in terms of goals and assists, he hasn't matched his output from last season. But in terms of just general play, he's looking amazing. He's one of the best players in the league. I'm a bit biased as a Norwegian, I guess, but yeah, Ødegaard looked amazing again, and Fabio Vieira looked good. So Arsenal have a good thing going. Even if Martinelli is out, they have sort of double coverage in all positions. And yeah, like I said, Vieira and Raya in. Really huge upgrade for Arsenal. Speaking of Raya as well, I think he got, was it 2 bonus points or 1 bonus point? But I'm pretty sure he got 2 bonus points from only 1 save, because he's really good with his feet, so he gets a lot of passes done. So he doesn't really need too many saves either to get the bonus points when Arsenal win 1-0. So yeah, good for him. Good for anyone that has Saliba or even Gabriel still as well. Some clean sheet points there. Pickford owners, sorry to say, another clean sheet gone for him, but most of you guys with Pickford have Turner playing if he plays on the Monday game. So let's hope so for your sake, because I know it's been a testing game week for most of you guys. But yeah, I think you should also note that not having, or like having a lot of popular players that don't perform is not as bad as sorry, I gotta rephrase this. Yeah, having a lot of players that are popular that don't perform is not as bad as not having popular players that do perform. So even someone like me, I got 50 points this game week. You guys probably got, or you guys, I'm saying, not everyone had a poor game week, but I see people with scores ranging between like 25 and 35, I guess. And yeah, even then you only lose out a couple points. It's not that bad. It could have been much worse as well if you didn't captain Haaland. You should consider yourself a bit lucky, but yeah, in general, I know it's really boring. It's really, especially after 2 weeks of international break, it's really boring to come back to FPL and just like see every single player blank. And it really feels really bad. But in terms of damage, it's much worse when popular players you don't have score goals. And that didn't really happen because Salah's not that popular. Alvarez is not that popular. Trossard's not that popular. All the players that we can go through here, Welbeck's not that popular. Gross is not that popular. No like massive players in terms of FPL scored a load of points. Bernardo Silva is definitely not popular. Kulusevski and Richarlison are not popular, so it doesn't really matter that much in the end. I know it's boring, and I know you really want to get to Game Week 6, but I'd say just calm your nerves. Don't worry about wildcarding and stuff. I think people like Rashford don't really need to sell someone like that, because I think Rashford looked really good actually in terms of fail points, and Højlund as well looked really good. He might be an option. Bruno Fernandes kind of played more defensively. I don't know about the whole situation where they don't have a right winger. It seems like Fernandes is going to struggle a bit from that unless he plays on the right wing, or they manage to play Pellistri or something. So yeah, definitely some things to consider in terms of this game week. But I think you should kind of just like cool down, look into potentially getting a Newcastle defender potentially for Chilwell. Look into getting maybe Alvarez up front for rather than Jackson, for example, if you have him. Because I think Alvarez, I said this or tweeted this pretty early in the season, that when Kevin De Bruyne doesn't play, especially last season, the 10 matches Kevin De Bruyne didn't play last season, Alvarez played pretty much every single game. And now Pep is saying, you shouldn't really trust what Pep Guardiola is saying, but for every indication tells you that Alvarez is going to play, because he came back from international break as well, playing 85 minutes in Bolivia at like 2,000 meters above sea level. played 85 minutes in those conditions, traveled back, and he's still fit enough to play the whole game for Man City in a really taxing game against West Ham where he was really involved in everything. So Alvarez is a machine. He's going to play most matches. So I think Alvarez is also a really good player to target. So yeah, I don't have the stock up, stock down this week because this video has been long enough as it is. But yeah, definitely Alvarez and Newcastle defenders. Potentially Wilson if Wilson is going to play in the league going forward. Those are some of the best picks I can recommend. After looking at Game Week 5 at least. But that's been Game Week 5. I hope you didn't have too bad of a game week. Hopefully you had some luck. Hopefully you'll get some better luck in the future, as long as it's not the players that I don't have. But either way, that's been it for the weekend walkthrough. Hope you enjoy these quite expansive videos that last about 45 minutes for me just rambling about all the games and all the players. But I don't know, I have fun making them, and I have fun watching all the games and looking at all the highlights afterwards as well. And just making up my mind in terms of what I see with the eye test. Maybe I should call this the eye test as well. We can walk through sort of as a nice alliteration sort of thing, but maybe I should call it the eye test because it's sort of, especially now that we can't really trust the computers apparently, because the AI recommended players have not been good so far. And honestly, just speaking now, most of you guys are not watching now because it's the 45th minutes. I've talked for a half of football already. But personally, I'm pretty happy to see like the whole AI thing sort of fail a bit, because it's really boring if like the machines know everything and we only pick what the machines are telling us to pick. It's really boring game if that's the case. So hopefully the machines keep making mistakes and we can all pick a lot of the fun different players that we can choose, because there are so many interesting players you can choose this season, but for some reason people have the same team over and over and over again. So hopefully you can differentiate yourself a little bit and have a bit more fun with FPL, because that's what it's supposed to be in the end. It's not supposed to be about the points, it's supposed to be about the fun. So hopefully you can find that joy, and hopefully if it bothers you too much, just put it away for a bit and like don't stress too much about it. I don't know, I'm rambling. It's easy for me to say who had a decent game week, so yeah, sorry about that whole thing. But either way, that's been it for me from the FPL Scope. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.